and just like that, it's Wednesday night.
God, these weeks are going by so fast, man.
I know. It just seems like we just did this the other day. Here we are, Wednesday Night Tech Talk Live, brought to you by WAF Racing.
WAF Racing.
Yeah, and we're going to kick this off from the top. Danny Boyd was here at 1:17 p.m. SSR Performance, good evening, everyone. And by the way, we got some big news from SSR Performance. Colleen Tebow, Fab Race Mon Repeat, KS Skyhawk here at 6:30, Racer Ray, Miss Cat G, Slant Daily Garage, Val 360 Jimmy, Buick Smith is here. Man, it seems like the same people. Bigfoot's and Mopar's Mark. And I think that's it. But Dakota's timeout just snuck in under the wire, and so did Clint. Machine. Yeah. Clint. The big news from the SSR Performance boys is the other day they posted something on Facebook showing the Rusty Nova and the Malibu at the track, and they say they have officially run a 696.
Was it 698?
Was it 698? Okay, triple crown attire, right, or setup, and I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, that means that they pretty much knocked off a 10th, right? Well, yeah, about 10th.
About 10th. But remember, it's cold, like you were saying earlier. It's cool weather. It's not humid, so a lot of factors in play.
The air conditions were good. You know, let's just say it probably was like the DA was considerably about half of what it is at No Name National. Right. So the other thing is, it didn't look like they were at Skelton Raceway. So I don't know. Maybe the track conditions are a little bit better wherever they were racing at, which probably is Paducah. I mean, they're from the Paducah area. So they could have been racing there at Beacon Dragway. Who knows?
One more thing before we get going on is that I just want to have like a little moment of silence, because did you know hear that Kyle from 1320 videos, he passed away either this morning or last night some point. So
I was kind of surprised. Like I think that was kind of out of nowhere, right?
Yeah. There's there's always those vultures,
right?
What's that?
It wasn't sick or nothing, right?
No, and there's all these vultures. Was it this? Was it suicide? It's like, look, just let the man rest in peace, dude. He was a good guy. Whatever happened, it just happened. Why do you got to know? You know what I mean? Just
he's no longer with us.
He's no longer with us. So
yeah, I was just kind of surprised. I didn't. I think the last time I saw that dude was Cletus did a video, and he gave that dude a ZR1 Corvette that he had made.
Basically picked out all the check marks himself.
Right. Well, he said, hey, send me your order form if you were to order one, and I'll see what I could do at GM. So he sent him the order form with like all the boxes ticked, and then Cletus just ordered that vet.
Yeah, except for one, the X version. You couldn't get the X.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. But that was the last time I saw that guy. I haven't seen any new 1320 stuff. They kind of do a lot of the drag and drives, and if you're not familiar with 1320 video, you're probably not in the know.
I would say you're not really a car guy for real, because they were kind of the ones that kind of started a lot of this. In fact, I was telling the wife about it. She goes, what did he do? And I'm like, well, 11, 12 years ago, he was the one driving around in people's cars, getting videos and posting it up of street racing. He was like the guy that was doing it.
He was the one that pioneered the Mexico racing.
Yes, exactly.
But I do believe, I can't remember, one of the Match Race Madness events that we did in Southern California was covered by those guys, right?
Yeah. In fact, I showed a picture to Lisa, and Lisa said, do you remember this guy? She goes, yeah. And I was like, yeah. And I said, he passed away. She goes, oh my God. It's like, she remembers it. She goes, he looks familiar. And I was like, yeah, the 1320 guys came over and did a video. They're the ones that recorded it, and they made a big, long production about it. Give it to Steve.
I think that was the one that it was you and I were match raced. And
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember you remember the car, like when we went up for our second run, someone right in front of us just oiled down the whole track.
Yeah.
And you and I were waiting there, and I remember the guys walking around the car with the camera. Mm-hmm. And he goes, are you hot in there? And I'm like, I sure I sounded like Kenny from South Park because like helmet on, neck brace, balaclava, gloves, and I'm in there like it's 147,000 degrees, and I was turning into a raisin.
I had my fan on and the door open, and I was good.
Screw you. Yeah. But so KS Skyhawk says, hi and inline tonight to see the friends I'll never meet. Hopefully the No Name Nationals in September will be my chance to meet the good folks I've never seen. Well, that's the good thing about No Name Nationals is you can literally come down and meet everybody that you see here on YouTube.
Yeah.
Shane and I are there every year. What we're driving is usually a question mark until about a month before we go. I mean, it would be nice to have plans, but generally your best laid plans never work out the way they're supposed to.
It just kind of happens. Like my plan is to do Plan Z, because right after that, I'm leaving probably Saturday at some point to go, because I got to go to 666. But as it's looking right now, it's probably going to be the green car with the stick shift. That's probably what's going to happen.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. At least then I'll get something, because we know what the car runs right now with this small cam, total driver. It runs great on the freeway, but it's really slow in an eighth mile. So this way I'll have an apples to apples comparison. Like this is this engine. It ran, 10, I forget the number, but can I get into the 10, like low 10s or even 9s with the stick shift? I don't know. We'll see.
I think it might blow up that rear end.
No, 7 1/4 is pretty strong. It's not making much power. You're
dumping the clutch on it.
I'm going to slip the clutch is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a line lock, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the clutch out just to where it's starting to grab, and then I'm just going to go at the same time.
Race is greeting to all the good folks. I probably won't be able to catch the show. Family emergency. Okay, well that's fine, man. You can catch us on reruns all week long.
Right.
Whenever you want. That's what's good about YouTube.
Yep. And I hope everything's okay.
Yeah, I hope everything does turn out all right.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's scroll down. Buick Smith at 7:00 says, Shane, can you look to see if Edelbrock has any of the big block Chevy tall deck intake spacers on the shelf? My neighbor is sweating getting the tunnel ram on his burnout car by next week for an event.
Okay, here's what you do. I will not remember this. So send it to spolito@edelbrock.com. Send me that, and I'll look it up first thing in the morning. And that way I can tell you right away.
Right below that, he says, Jegs and Summit say they are discontinued or on back order.
Yeah, well, I'll see, because sometimes we have some stock, like we'll have it on the shelf, like that's not in a kit put together. So if you don't mind getting it without gaskets, if that's the case, then we'll see what we got. But once again, spolito@edelbrock.com. Send it there, and that way I'll remember in the morning.
Let's see. Dakota's timeout says he just bought a used Holly Street Dominator for a Pontiac off of eBay for $80.
Nice.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a good score. I don't know. Was the Street Dominators the one that had the neck down intake? I can't remember. I think so.
Yeah, I think the Street Dominator is kind of what Andy had. Those are those 750s. So it's like a Dominator, but it's like they're neck down to like a 750. So it's still
the intake manifold.
Oh, it's intake manifold. Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, I think that's what it's. Holly Street Dominator is an intake manifold. I believe. I thought they were the neck down ones. So Dakota, here's a FYI. If you look on YouTube, there is some videos where it is almost hard to beat a factory Pontiac intake manifold.
Yes. They work so good.
Yeah, they work really, really well. And matter of fact, almost any aftermarket intake manifold, you lose torque.
Oh, Dallas, you were right. I was wrong. 696 at 97 miles an hour with the 650 VRS. It's exactly what I told people. 650 is going to be the carburetor to go with. Didn't I say that?
Maybe.
Yes. Didn't say that. Everyone was fighting me. They said 750. I said, nope, 650 is the way to go. There it is.
Yeah. Dylan Levi says Kyle is such a huge loss to the community.
Yeah.
He was the one that pretty much pioneered the automotive YouTube stuff. He was way out in front of everyone else.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, he said he watched his last video with Farm Truck today. He'll be missed. Yeah, I agree. I didn't get to watch that one, so I haven't watched that one yet.
Colleen saying that anybody in Mississippi, Alabama, or Georgia, keep your eyes peeled for bad weather. Supposedly there's a serious storm. Yeah, and Dakota's in Georgia, but you're way up by the Tennessee line. This is pretty far down there near, I believe it's almost in line with Atlanta.
Oh, Dakota's in, he's in Alabama?
Dakota's in Georgia.
He's in Georgia. Okay.
Yeah, he's in North Georgia near the Tennessee line.
Oh, what shirt you got on?
I'm repping Levi's Backyard Performance.
Nice. Oh, is that what you got for your birthday?
Yeah. Hooked me up with a t-shirt on my birthday. And he says he's just 2 steps away from Alabama.
Oh.
Let's see. Dizzy's saying he received a LA 360 gasket set, Edelbrock head bolt set, Edelbrock intake bolt set. Alex said rocker studs set on back order. Okay. And John Wilburn pops in saying, what in the holy horsepower is going on here? Well, hopefully we're talking about how to crank out a few more HPs.
Right. That's the whole idea. You got to throw some questions.
Let's see. KS Skyhawk says it's going to be a lot of work to get the Skyhawk there, but my 67 Skylark daily driver with LT1 and 4L60E cruise AC power seats would. And probably outrun most. Wait, I should take that back. I don't know. It probably is a pretty decent combo. That LT1 is not weak by any means. They make good torque. And that 460 or that 4L60E with the 306 first gear, make sure it makes more torque.
Yeah. Just don't shift into overdrive under power. That's the glass part of it.
So John Wilburn saying, yes, Dallas, that is, I have one, he's talking about the intake manifolds that came off Dizzy's car. Half the intake hole under the carb is blocked off. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you though, we did a lot of spacer tuning for years back, right when I first got to Edelbrock. And you'd be surprised. You would think that, like on, like say, an engine that's going to make about 500 horsepower and down. It was funny that an open spacer made less power than one that had a circle in the center. So a 1-inch spacer that had a neck down to a 1-inch open and then coming back out actually made more power because it was getting a better homogenation of fuel in that little area.
Oh, yeah, it was atomizing big time in that small spot.
Exactly. So I'm telling you, I think Harley had something going on there when they necked it down, and it worked really well because we noticed that right off the bat as we started necking them down, and we're like, wait a second, it's making more power.
And you know what? Like, I tell you what would probably work really well is one of those, I can't remember which spacers it was where you had like the 4-hole spacer that was tapered outward.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I bet that would work really good with something like that.
Yeah.
So Dakota saying, yeah, factory Pontiac is top notch, but I have a Holley 750 double pumper that works very good and want to use it. It takes a lot of work to make a Q-Jet work for 500 horsepower. The Q-Jet is not happy with camshaft. That's the one, because it solely runs based off of engine vacuum. So when you have an erratic vacuum signal from a very high lift, high duration cam, that little piston in there is moving up and down and just screwing the fuel metering all over the place.
Yeah, because it can't catch up fast enough.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem with them. And generally, when you say it's 500 horsepower, it's really just a lot of camshaft is what really screws it up. If you could build an engine that had like the best cylinder head you could totally buy, and then a very conservative camshaft, that carburetor would work a lot better. The Quadrajet, that is. But it's generally the rule of thumb is when you move over to a very healthy camshaft, anything over like 235 degrees duration at 50, you pretty much take your Q-Jet off and throw on a Holley 750. He's saying, but I don't think any of the aftermarket intakes for Pontiacs were them neck down ones like they did for the Fords and Chevys. My dad grinded one out, probably 3 pounds of aluminum grinding that for his FE intake. I had one of those too. I was going to put a Quadrajet on my 393 Windsor Ford truck about 3.5 years ago. And it was right before all this divorce shenanigans started. And I had the carburetor, I had the intake manifold, and I had opened up the intake manifold underneath because it was just so freaking narrow. It was probably half the surface area of the carburetor.
Too, saying that he hasn't felt this good in over 5 years. Every day things are getting better. Thanks for asking. How are you? So basically, Mohawk's getting better, which is good.
Mohawk's on the mend. You guys are gonna have to look out at No Name Nationals because Mohawk's gonna have a second wind.
Right? Literally. And I were with Levi on this one. Remember what Duck said? It's only a record when done in competition. That guy is such an interesting person. I enjoyed my radial racing. So yeah, it's a record, but it's got to be done in competition. That means it's got to be done at No Name Nationals between when we're there, because that's right now our only race for it.
Well, Fab Race Mod repeats saying, the heck with HPs, I'd be happy with some oil pressure. He's having problems with a 6.2 Ford, where apparently that the one of the gears in the oil pump has cracked and bleeds off all the oil pressure.
Yeah. So SSR Performance, and hey Shane, can you explain the two high-speed air bleeds on the VRS carb? Absolutely. So you have on the very far one. So if you have a bowl, your barrel, the very farthest one out, that's your idle. Then you have an intermediate circuit. Then you have high-speed 1 and high-speed 2. The high-speed 1 is the upper range, and then the high-speed 2 is the lower range. They both come off the main jet, but they have an upper and a lower, and they split them into two. So this way you can kind of tailor how that signal hits. Now, typically on, like, say, this is more for like road racing or street cars or type things, is when you're going through the power band of sweeping the throttle up and down, it doesn't have a flat spot. That way you always have at least 3 circuits talking to the barrel at any given time. Most carburetors, you're only going to have 2. The intermediate circuit works all the way across, but this way you have 2 high-speed circuits really working it, and it also helps too with the cruise. Your intermediate basically is a transition slot at that point. But say you have a high cruise at say 2,500 RPM, then you're going to be on the low speed, which is the high-speed 1, which is the second one. So you're going to have the idle, intermediate, high-speed 1, high-speed 2. The high-speed 2, which is the ones that are closest to the center, that is going to be your main, and the other one is going to be the second one. So imagine your emulsion. If you take your metering block off, you'll see an upper and a lower emulsion jets right there. The upper one is the high-speed 1. The lower one is the high-speed 2. It's just basically split into 2 types of RPM bands. That's all it is. I actually, if you send me espolito@edelbrock.com, I can send you a little chart on how everything works and explains what everything is. It's just a little 5 or 6 page little piece of paper. It helps you out.
Down at 716, KS Skahawk says, how much vacuum will start to screw with a Q-jet at idle? What number? You can't really put a number on it. It's just based on every combination. It's how big it is, how much vacuum it draws at essentially idle and above. Part throttle is where it screws them up the most. But the I would have to say the camshaft would have to make less than probably 16, maybe 15 inches of vacuum. And an idle is where you start to notice it significantly, because it'll be first you'll chase a fat problem, and then all of a sudden it's like it's not fat anymore, it's lean. And it doesn't make any sense because you didn't really change much, but you just went from fat to lean. And that's because that signal doesn't, it either keeps the power piston all the way down with the metering rod shoved all the way in, or it's all the way up and it's just pouring fuel in there. And that circuit is so optimized from just basically the math. General Motors got them so close. They were actually, they were fairly lean. You can almost go up like 1 metering rod size guaranteed on anything, but they got it so optimized for fuel economy that it makes a huge difference when you're talking about you pull those jets out and it's 10,000, or the metering rods out and it's 10,000 size difference. It'll go from being fat to super lean, and you really is no way to tune it out. But you notice it more at part throttle. It'll be boggy and sluggish, and you can't figure out what's going on. And then all
That's
of a sudden,
where they're kind of bouncing, yeah.
yeah.
Especially when that overlap triangle is happening, when you have a lot of reversion going on into the intake, it really bounces that. I notice that sometimes on like the older Edelbrock's, the AVS style ones, where if you have a really
you work on the same principle, right?
Yes,
so they have the same problem.
Yeah, it's basically when you have a really light spring in there, you'll start to see them kind of bounce up and down. It's really on the reversion.
The only way I have been able to see the most significant change I've seen is put the heaviest spring in it that you can, where it'll keep them up most of the time.
That's right. Yep.
And then you just tune to that.
Mm-hmm.
The full race versions of quadrajets, jets, guys actually just take the metering rods out and then jet it, kind of like you didn't have you take the surface area of the jet size and then what the metering rod is, and you split the difference right in the middle and then pull the rods out.
Yeah.
And then it'll just pull fuel, kind of like what a Holley does. Actually, it works almost on the same principle the way a Holley does at that point.
Yeah, because that time you're basically on the idle circuit or wide open.
Yep. Buick Smith says, speaking of intakes, how's that 300 intake coming along, Dallas? Okay, sadly, I have no news to report on that. I do have every piece to finish it up. When we had my birthday party, we used all the argon in the whole neighborhood, right? And I haven't bought any new argon to literally just sit down and TIG weld it. I've been kind of trying to catch up. I've also been in a situation where it's like, this is the end of the divorce stuff. So I'm having to split all of everything I've ever had in half. And so I'm having to choose to eat over working on YouTube projects. So,
I like eating too. Yeah.
Yeah. Eating kind of leads on to I can always do it later. Oh, well, hold on. John Wilburn says those intakes have a place. It may end up on the van like the smaller Plenum. Okay, those neck down intakes, there's a couple of things I can think of right off the top of my head. Those intake manifolds would have a throttle response like nothing else.
That's right.
Because the velocity through the intake is so high.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say just because the throttle response is going to be so well that I'll bet it gains, I'll bet the torque curve starts 500 RPM sooner.
Yeah. You just run a comparable carburetor for it, 500 CFM or something. Yeah. Dakota Timeout. The cam I'm using is a 236, 242, 114 LSA roller. I may squeak by with a Q-Jet, but be super easy to change the intake on the Pontiacs if you cut off the water neck and the rest of the intake. Here's the thing on that's actually really not that bad, because that on 114, that thing's really wide apart, and you're really not going to get a bunch of reversion, especially on a big cubic inch engine. He's running a 455, right?
Well, plus it's a roller, and it's a roller cam, so the ramp rates on it are immense.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It's going to actually even out a lot of that.
Yeah, and your advertised is much smaller, so I'm assuming this is a hydraulic. So this thing's going to be really fast. It's going to mimic most like Mopars is how fast this thing's going to move.
I think this thing would work really good with a Q-Jet. I think it would have a lot of carb signal, so I think it would actually be worthwhile
to try.
Yeah, I would try the Q-Jet, and you might be surprised. Like, you may be down compared to that Holley 10 horsepower, but the fuel economy is going to be considerably better, and the drivability would be so much better.
Yeah. Levi's saying, I really hope that someone breaks the 6-second barrier in Triple Crown. Hopefully a car that is not expected to. I would agree with that. I hope a couple of them do. That would be great.
I think that's one of those things that Triple Crown, once it's kind of ironed out, we were kind of assuming they were going to run about a 660, 670 when they were all ironed out.
Yeah.
And I don't see it growing much more from there. I'm sure there will be some manipulation of the rules and, basic small stuff, but I don't think it with the tires that's available, I don't think it's going to get much faster than 660.
No, I think that's going to be like the very leading edge, because I had a 660 car that was a 360. It went a 661, and it was built. I mean, that was in the blue car when I raced that. What was it, that Supra? There's a video online, and it literally was a 360 at that point. It wasn't a stroker, and the car was stuck at 660, 661, but it had everything thrown at it. It was 12-to-1 compression, big cam. It was like 260, 268 on a 108. 106 lobe separation angle. It was angry. It was massive. So. Oh, and SSR, you're welcome. Just remember too that anyone who has a VRS, I'm bringing the calibration backpack with me, so I'll have all your little jets and little knickknacks that you're going to need if you want to change things up, because the weather is always going to be a little different there. So I'll have that with me.
Oh, dang, makes me want to get a freaking VRS to put on my Super Stalker, just so I know we can get it tuned and dialed right.
Well, what size carburetor do you need?
Well, the Buicks generally, they like a bigger carburetor because the intake manifold flows so poorly.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at using the Q-Jet. They're 800 CFM, but it's an air valve secondary carburetor. It's only going to open up that air valve until it equalizes, right? So if it needs only 781 CFM, that's all it's going to give it. So
yeah, well, if you want a VRS, man, just say something.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't mind trying one out, but I have this 950. Maybe I should just bring them all along and then just make a bunch of passes at No Name Nationals and figure out what each one does.
Why don't we make a video of us going to Buffalo Valley? They're open now again, right?
Yeah, but I got to get the car finished and running and driving. And
now there you go. So that means you get the car running, driving, and then we could just start slapping on carburetors. And I'll bring the Holly 750. I'll bring a VRS 750, a VRS 650.
I got my Quick Fuel 950 and a Q-Jet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dizzy's saying that the Vagrant's going from angry to mental.
Well, I think what you need to do here is change the frame of reference. It's still an angry Vagrant, right? But before here's what's like I guess for in terms of mental health, a crazy person doesn't know they're crazy. So the angry Vagrant doesn't know it's angry. Its level of anger is just now it's going to need it's going to need some therapy. Right?
That's right. Actually, this is for you right here.
Buick Smith says, Dallas, I've been meaning to ask the RV cam that Shane cut for your 455 in the Burb. Is that a cam you have in the 400 in the Burb now? Okay. First things first. Shane didn't cut the cam for the 455. It was actually one that they already made that nobody ever bought.
That's right.
It was. You know what? I got a cam listing here.
It was actually one of those two that was it was on a garage sale, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was $70 for the camshaft, which was at the time was. I mean, that was cheap already. I'm trying to look. I have a list of cams here, and it doesn't have any of the Crowers on here. I'm surprised.
But at the time, it was he called and talked to me about it. I was like, you know what? I think that might just work perfectly for you.
Right, and it was a cam. I want to say it's literally the first camshaft they made for or the smallest one. If you look at the grinds for Crower, it's literally the smallest camshaft for the 400 through 455. I think it's the very first cam they make on the listing.
Yeah.
And he was like, no one really buys this cam. And, but I want to say the lift numbers were really awesome. The low lift numbers on it were really awesome.
Yeah. It had really good off the seat numbers. It was really fast.
And it was. Well, the thing was the parameters I gave him, but to answer your question, it is in the Suburban 400. And the difference I've noticed is the 455 would not rev above $4,000 with that camshaft in it. The 400 will pull all the way out to like 4,500, maybe $5,000. And I've never ran it that hard. But it has more RPM to it just because it's a smaller cubic inch engine. The camshaft, when I called Shane and I asked him about it, and he said, what, you need more than 510 foot-pounds? I'm like, well, I was just trying to get a good towing cam, right? Is what I was looking for. It was what they used to call the hypothetical RV cam.
Yeah. And you wanted mileage too. Remember that was
I did. And then the other thing was I didn't want to put a Gonzo spring on it because generally what happens is when you put a lot of spring on them, they'll run for a long time, but then the springs will start breaking after 60,000 miles. The springs will start breaking on them. And then you'll have intermittent misses and you end up having to change all the springs. And I said, I would just want something that'll work with a stock spring. And I want to say that thing was like 478. I think it's 478 lift. And I just put all of the basic stuff on the motor that you would normally think that would be for longevity, right? So like it's got better retainers and keepers on it. It has the late 70s shaft mounted 455 rockers on it. They're really short ratio and they're heavy, but they run forever. What else did I do to that thing? I did all the oiling mods on it, which I kind of regret because it has I would say it has 9 pounds of oil pressure at idle, right? Which is scary, to say the least. But as soon as you hit the throttle, it goes way up to like 45 pounds. So, and that's what the regulator spring is set at, is 45 pounds. So, yeah, it's actually a pretty good combo. I just don't like that the oil pressure is so low at idle that when you start it up and it's cold, it'll have higher oil pressure when it's cold. That's Buick's like biggest shortfall, is they'll have high oil pressure at startup and then it's like meager when it's warm. It does clatter when you start it up, and that's because it's got so much oil volume. It takes forever to get into all the little crevices. But let's see. KS Skyhawk says, what if your gas pedal only sees idle at fully up? Then it only knows being pushed through the firewall. Maybe that's why I haven't noticed. Oh yeah. So it's idle and wide open throttle.
Right.
Yeah. So you may not notice your problem with your quadrajet.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. You would definitely notice it if you drove it to No Name Nationals and you were just cruising down the highway. You would notice it. Let's see. Dakota saying, I like quadrajets. I put on that had been sitting for 20 plus years, had some dust and spider webs on it. I threw it on a stock 400 Pontiac. It done great all around and opened up very good. Oh, well, you got lucky. Usually every one I get that sits around is like accelerator pump don't work.
Yep.
Secondary air door may as well be held on there with a chicken bone. I mean, they never work right after they sit when I let them sit.
Yeah, me too. That's like for me, it was the Edelbrocks, the AVS, because the jets would sit literally at the bottom, so all that dust would collect and just go right into that, and the accelerator pump would literally dry out, and there was none.
Yeah, that's the problem I had, was the accelerator pump literally dries out and then vaporizes.
Yes.
I don't. Usually, what happens is they crack or split.
Yes.
And then the first time you use it, it buckles it under.
Yes, yeah. Right. Vaporizes. Attention, the pit Shin has a football calibration pack is on the property. Yeah, I'll have it again. I had it last year. In fact, I did some tuning on SSR for them, and right before they had that problem with their Power Glide.
SSR Performance brings up a good point. We talked about this before. So at 729, SSR Performance put up there. Somebody's sending me messages. Shane, you got any demo 750 VRS carbs? I'd like to see what it would do on the dyno. And we talked about didn't we talk about going to SSR Performance? And
Yes.
then I think that would be the place to maybe try out them carburetor secrets.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe that would not be the place, because those guys are in direct competition with everybody.
But that way everybody sees what's on the table.
Yeah, I guess so. I think that it would be kind of neat to put them all on the dyno and then just like see what would happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking if a Q-Jet was within 10 horsepower of the VRS or the Holly, man, and you get a 100-pound weight break, that's winning.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though, is that the VR with the cubic inch engine that you're going to be having, if you're on the smaller side, like the 330, the 750 is just going to be too much if you're not spinning that RPM. And that's why I keep saying to people for the 650, unless you're going over that 7,000 mark, just stay with the 650. But if you're going over the 7,000 mark, maybe you're going to start getting into that 750 area. But I don't know. Just that the off idle, you're going to lose on the bottom end, as far as right off the line, unless you're on a trans brake. But I don't know. It's just there are some gains for the 750, but there's a lot more gains for the 650 for that cubic inch and that RPM.
So KS Skyhawk saying, Professor, would you go back over the chat you had with Bruce Crowder about a three-quarter race cam and over a full race cam? Really was back in the 60s and 70s. I have an Isky.
I don't remember the exact. I don't want to quote anyone that I don't remember 100%. It unfortunately I get here, so for me it's late. Because I get up so early for work. So I don't remember the exact words, but when I do remember it, because sometimes things just come to you, when you think of a quote and you're like 3 days later, I'll think about this, but he did tell me what it meant at some time. I will remember it. Sounds like you need an oil cooler, Dallas.
Well, you got to remember, I did all the oiling mods on this motor like it was a race engine. And I probably shouldn't have done that. Like every passage went from 7/16 to 5/8, right? I mean, all the way in, huh?
It's not going to hurt anything because that's just now more volume.
Right, but my pressure is only 9 pounds at idle when it's warm, and
but that's okay because you have tons of volume behind it.
I do have tons of volume. So, I'm thinking that is all just from opening up the oil passages. I really do.
Yeah.
Let's see. KS Skyhawk says towing cam for a small block Buick. It was an improvement with a bit of lope. Had to have that, and really a nice cam. Like most of my old stuff, it all came from PAW. By the way, nice. I spun an oil filter off of 231 V6. That's the one I use on my Suburban 400. Is the small 231 V6 oil filter, because if you've ever seen how a Buick oil pump works and the oil filter assembly set up on it, the oil filter actually runs into the frame. And so I have what they call the later B housing, which is off of the early V6s. Like, well, I can't say early. 75 V6 that's non-metric. So it's the B housing. It moves the oil filter closer to the fan. And then that gives me frame clearance. But because it's closer to the fan, there's no clearance between the oil filter and the fan. So I put on that small oil filter.
Yeah. Dallas, what oil viscosity are you using to get 9 pounds, or document have loose bearing clearances?
I have loose bearing clearances also, just because the Buicks are generally tight from the factory for noise, vibration, and harshness, and that they last a long time, right? I was looking at, I just need something that tows well, and so I just run, I pretty much run all the Buick bearing clearances. If it's a 3-inch main, I run 3,000s. If it's 3.5-inch main, I run 3,500s. If it's a 2-inch main, I run 2,000s. And that's pretty much how I do it. But if you go back and look at the books will tell you,
Tight.
1,500s.
No dice.
Yeah. And I wasn't so much concerned with longevity over cooling.
Yeah.
And because when you open up the the clearance is like that. The oil has such a better cooling effect on the whole thing. But
Just
I
like
am
oil
running.
below.
I'm running 1040 Rotella T6, or no, I'm sorry,
540.
I'm running 540 Rotella T6 in the Suburban, and that's why the oil pressure is generally fairly low, I believe. But I wanted that wider spread, spread on the oil, just because of towing.
Yeah, and also there's a big difference between this big and this big when you're at 9 pounds. This big, you're only going to flow X amount, but when you have something that's 500% larger at 9 pounds, it has so much more volume. So, and also,
Well, you and I did the math on this.
Yeah,
You and I did the math on this way long time ago.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
I went from 7/16 passage to 5/8. And when you and I were talking on the phone one time, and you said, when you go from 7/16 to half inch, it's almost 100% more oil flow.
Yeah, because of the area.
Right. So now
pi r squared.
Everything is 5/8. So the volume on that is 300% more.
Yeah,
it may be more than that.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that it's just that much more area. Then there's less boundary effect because you're not moving so much fluid as fast through an area. It's moving much slower at 9 pounds. It's not going this fast. It's going this fast. So your velocity's down, makes it even the oil pressure much more even throughout the engine.
Huh.
Oh, Dallas says that. Dakota just said that he sent you a video of the cobwebs.
That was probably the message I was getting while we were on the live.
And Buick Smith says, you guys thoughts on using a single Predator carburetor on a drag engine? I'm telling you single-handedly, the Predator carb, I have a love for a Predator carburetor. I actually have 2 of them downstairs that I got at not last year, but the year before PRI. I love the Predator carb. They're an amazing carburetor. They work very well. The only issue I've ever had with the Predator carburetor is they have 1 needle in seat. That's it. And when you put 1 on there, it's very hard to keep that thing full. That's why you normally have to go to 2 of them on a tunnel ram, but on a 350, you'll be just fine. But I'm telling you, that would be a carburetor run because they work great at wide open throttle, not so much driving around.
But they were never meant to be driven around.
No.
Yeah, they were meant to. There was a drag race only carburetor.
Yes. Yeah. And then I got one of the very first ones. I think it was a 9000 XI, which had the idle circuit on it. It had a little idle circuit on top, and it even said that you have to screw it down and then bring it back up because it's a little ball that pushes on it, and it's basically a restrictor. So you would make an adjustment, it wouldn't do anything. Then you have to screw it back up, so you'd have to keep going up and down to get it. But man, once you got it set, and then every time you let off the throttle, you couldn't let off the throttle slowly because then it would hang the air doors open. You had to let off the throttle really hard. It would slop it closed, and then it would go back to idle. It would always have this like 1,500 RPM ramp. Yeah, I drove a Predator on the street for a long time, and then I just couldn't drive it. It was a great racing carburetor, but not so easy on the street unless you.
I remember when those suckers were pretty much new, like in the early 80s. And dude, when you opened the hood in your carburetor, when you saw that thing, you were like, "What in the world is that?"
The magic box.
The
magic box. It was
square
great.
box.
Yeah,
but it also had this badass like engraved eagle on it, right?
Predator. Yeah, so I actually have 2 of those because I like to collect carburetors. They're one of my most favorite things. I love carburetors. Just I'll probably never go fuel injection 100% because I just love carburetors. And that's one of them that I'm going to get, and I'm just going to put up. I'm going to have just a little museum of display of carburetors. I got 2, so one's going to run, one's going to be display.
Levi's Backyard Performance says, getting ready to ramp up work on the Heifer header building. Stop because I have no argon left. Hey, I can sympathize. Should finish those this weekend. I was in the same boat with welding my intake manifold up. So I will get back to that. And there is going to be a lot of epoxy work I have to do in that thing too, just to smooth out some of the transitions from where it was cut and spliced together. But I should have that one done here fairly soon. I'm kind of hung up on builds going on my start stand. I got a 70 stage one that's all stock stuff that I've been putting together for my dad's 70 stage one car. and it's been hung on the start stand for quite a while now. And I didn't have the money for all of the break-in oil. It was the break-in oil. I buy it by the case. If you buy it by 6 quarts, you get robbed. I did that twice, and so I ended up buying it by the case, and then it's not so much of a robbing. So that's what I've been waiting on. And then I'll have to put Clint's Long Rod 300 on there, and then after that would be the What If 300. And I really like to take the What If 300 to the dyno.
That'd be fun. That'd be good.
Yeah.
So Chaos Skyhawk saying it was a cold morning, oil pump, high volume, and high pressure upgrade. I spun an oil filter off after the trail of oil on the street. Bad thing happened to the bearings before I saw the red light. Ooh. I've had this before. On my Volkswagen, I blew out the rubber O-ring. It was I started my Volkswagen up and I had one of those spin-on filters on the fender. And it started up and I had straight 30 weight in it. And it was in Southern California and it was a cold morning and I didn't have time for it to warm up. And I went to drive away and I saw the light come on and there was a trail of oil and the filter literally blew the rubber O-ring and expanded it out to the next end.
Yeah. I've had them before where you stick the rubber O-ring sticks to the housing.
Yeah.
And then you put a new one on and it has the double gasket.
Yep.
And it's like sprays everywhere, and you're like, "What in the world is going on?"
But yeah, mine blew the thing off. So that from that point on, I went to 2050 oil, and I would wait for that thing to warm up because I never wanted to blow a filter like that again.
Jay Malone says, I remember reading an old Chrysler TSB discussing oil pressure requirements. I believe it said 7 psi for every 1,000 RPM was all that was required, and anything more was just adding a load to the engine.
I agree with that 100%.
I would agree 100% as well. I know for a fact the rule of thumb used to be 10 pounds per every 1,000 RPM. That's what most engine builders, 70s, 80s, 90s would kind of shoot for. Somewhere in the 90s, somebody started cutting down the oil pumps. I want to say it was on the Chevrolets to where they were making 5 or 6 pounds of oil pressure per 1,000 RPM. And they found like at the crank found like 25 horsepower doing that. Mm-hmm. And that's when I really started getting into oiling mods is when I read that.
Yep.
And I think that honestly on any engine, there's probably more horsepower to be gained on any engine with just oiling mods than anything else, like parasitic loss, that the regular novice person can fix, because you really don't need a myriad of tools. You just need like a couple of carbide burrs and a porting kit, right? That has sandpaper rolls on it. And you really you could go in there and smooth it out and not even make it any bigger. If you just smooth it out in radius to turns to transitions and stuff,
makes a big difference.
A huge difference.
And I did a bunch of videos. I did 2 videos. One, not so, everyone's done this before with the copper tubing for the small block Mopar, but I did another one for the hydraulic lifter cam. And people are like, man, why are you doing all this crossover stuff? It's to even out pressure. That's all it is. And I'm with this guy on this 100%. Everyone knows that I spin the crap out of the Cookie Monster. I'm shifting that thing at about 8,000 RPM. If you put an in-car camera on that, it's got 65 pounds of oil pressure. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's how my T-Bird is in the same way. You get it wound up. I shifted at 7,500 and it might have like 55, 60 pounds of oil pressure.
Yeah, that's it. 65 pounds. And it's literally when it's idling, it's right there at about, when it's hot and it's idling, it's right at about 12, 13 right there, just idling.
My T-Bird is at 10.
Yeah, it's just sitting there idling. And as soon as I come up, as soon as it moves off of like 1,100 RPM, it goes right to 65 and it stays there.
Well, and we've said this before. Okay, 99% of the time your oil pump is in bypass anyway, because you got so much pressure, right, pushing against that spring. It's just bypassing all the oil, and it's sending very little up into the engine. It's literally bypassing the majority of it. The modifications that you do when you do a lot of oil pump mods or oiling mods is going to decrease the pressure, which will keep the oil pump in less of a bypass mode. Right? The volume goes up, the pressure will go down, and the oil pump won't have a bunch of wasted energy.
Yeah.
And what you're trying to do is capitalize on the wasted energy. You eliminate the oil pump wasting energy, and you're putting it out the crank now. So all you're doing is shifting it around. Dakota's timeout says, have I tried putting 2050 in that Buick? I will never do that on a Buick.
No.
So the Buicks, when I start that Suburban up and it's cold out, it's even with the 540 oil in it, it will have 80 pounds of oil pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's just because of all the twists and turns in the damn pump and the oiling system. It's got, well, I've said this before, it's got 990-degree or greater turns before it reaches the number one cam bearing. And that's terrible. So when I start it up and it's cold, with oil pressure that high, they will start blowing filters off the engine. They're not meant to have it's not a hydraulic press. And that's what it happens to be when the oil is real thick and cold.
Yeah.
The thing just turns into a hydraulic press.
And I would rather have the 540 anyways, for me personally, because the difference between a 40 and a 50 weight is really not much, but I would rather have the 5 winter than the 20 winter, because that just means it's going to get there faster, but it's going to have the viscosity of the 40. And that's literally what I run in a lot of my cars is that 540. It's totally fine.
Andrew Nelson's here. It says loose bearings, nobody knows. Tight bearings, everybody knows.
Agreed.
That's a racer's quote from essentially, was it David Rear said that in interview way back when, in the 80s, when Rear Morrison ran a string of Camaros with, who was that pro stock legend that he died like in 85? He was the driver for the Rear Morrison Camaro. Anyway, the driver, he's not the one that said it. Dave Rear, he did an interview with a magazine and they asked him about it, and that's exactly what he said, is that right there, loose bearings, nobody knows, tight bearings, everybody knows. He was referring to the engine itself.
I let the oil flow. I've always said people err on the side of looser and just let that oil flow, because it's going to do nothing but cool it. It's a race engine anyways. There's no break-in period. You don't want break-in period. You really want to get it started up, seat some rings, and let's go racing.
Right. It's only going to need about 10 minutes just running. That's it. And it's going to be ready to race.
And this is why I like Colleen. Thank you. Who forgot to hammer the like button on the way in? Go and hammer that thing, because that way we kind of get some thumbs up on this thing.
So Andrew Nelson says a 3/4 race referred to Crowder's grind being 3/4 of the way to a full race cam.
That wasn't it.
I thought it was okay. And this is it. When you had 3/4 race cam, I thought it was 3/4 race cam, not 3/4 of a race cam. I thought the lift was 750. And that's why it was 3/4.
No, it has to do with the duration. There's a number on there, and it has to do with the duration. And it was a little formula. Him and Iski had the same type of thing too at that time too. And same with Schneider. They're all three of those guys were kind of close to each other.
Well, they all worked with each other at one point in time.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the thing that nobody knows, is that Schneider worked with Bruce Crowder.
Yes.
At Crowder Cams.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all those guys in Southern California, all the cam manufacturers at one point in time were all working together.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yes.
With the same pressure versus volume. Think of a garden hose versus a fire hydrant. Same city water pressure, but look at the volume difference. Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Let's see. KS Skyhawk, sounds like I need a windage tray. You should have had a stock windage tray in your engine. My passages are 9/16. My oil pressure hot at idle is about 6 to 7 psi with a flashing dash light. Even a big piece of tape doesn't stop the red light from showing up. Well, the Buicks always were inherently, just like the Mopar Slant 6, always on the ragged edge from the first day of being like out of oil pressure, but then they continued to run for another 100,000 miles.
Because it's about volume, not about the Slant 6 is so overpressured as far as over oil pumped, oil passageways, and that's why they lasted so long, is for that reason. And it's just because of the pump is so massive for how little the engine is.
So the 400 in my Suburban is the only time I've ever used, because I was concerned about that oil pressure being so low, right? I put a high volume pump in it in a 450 in a big block, which is like in the 70s, that was the go-to. Now everybody uses a stock pump because they know that the high volume pump was way too much. And it really just caused pressure issues. And that's the only big block Buick that I have the high volume pump in, and it's still only 9 pounds at idle. So I way opened up the passages too much, I believe. I went past greedy.
Did the Predator carb have a second needle and seat that you could bolt in between the cover and the body on the carb? Yes. In fact, the ones I have downstairs have a bowl extension, and they have a secondary needle and seat in there. But you had to buy an extra one. But it made that bowl huge because the first one was already big, and then it made it another inch. So it made it very unfriendly looking, and plus that thing would hold so much fuel inside there. It sloshed a lot. So yes, they did have that, and I actually had those. I had a jet boat. In fact, someone was saying down here, I had a jet boat that had dual carburetors, Predators on it, and I actually changed the needle and seats on those. At the time, you could get larger ones. You can't. I don't think you can get those ones anymore. But yes, they did. They did make one that you could put a secondary needle and seat. And I think Bigfoot had 3 Predator carbs on his at one point with 3 extensions on each one of them.
Fab Race Mod Repeat says we had a customer with a late 70s speedboat with dual Predators on a Stroker 460 and a tunnel ram. Yep. That thing sounded nasty idling at speed.
Yes.
Those carburetors were so weird because it was it's a variable Venturi carburetor is what it is.
And the Venturi is what metered the fuel. So the Venturi, as it twisted, it had an interlocking gear, and then on that was a cam, and that cam, they have an A, B, a C, and then they had a custom blank, and that rode right on the metering rod, and the metering rod went to the nozzles that go right in the center where this blade opens up. So as the air demand got higher, that cam would roll, allowing more fuel to pass by, and goes right to the block. The problem with them is that the air, and then you would have the 2 blades down below, but as far as the metering on top, those were made out of leather. And so over time, they would cause an air leak. Yeah, so any air that would come by wasn't metered then as far as opening up. There's a few companies now that are taking those, they're taking them like a reed valve now, because the whole idea is if you had a backfire, they would flop open, they would come back. So now there's a company making these things, and they're making them out of reed valves for like a 2-stroke. So if there's a backfire, they pop open, but then they come right back down. So that way they're not fraying back out. So you might see a Predator carb on something that I have soon at some point.
Well, what I liked about them is okay, the way it's set up, it has there's no major pressure drop when you open the Venturi on them, right? There's no way they could bog. It doesn't create a pressure drop. The Venturi changes shape to retain air velocity. And that's what I thought was so interesting on the way those work.
And you can adjust that too. They have a spring right there on the side. So you can adjust how much resistance that has and how fast it opens. And so you had the pump shot. The pump shot was infinitely, well, I should use the word infinitely. It had 3 adjustments on it, but you could just drill different holes on it as far as how the pump shot would work. Then you had the spring to open up the blades. Then you had a cam with different cams, and then you could position the cams at different clockings. So literally, if you found one that was close, you could literally take that brass off, file it down with a little bit of a file, put it right back on. If you found a lean spot, and you could just fatten it up by just taking a file to it. It was amazing. They're amazing carburetors. I should let you play with one time. They're really cool. You should probably put one. You know what? Put one on your super stock for a while.
Well, now we're doing 4 different carburetors on the same motor. Let's get the combo kind of sorted out first. So, and Fab Race Mod Repeat is the winner here. He said Lee Shepard. That's who it was. Lee Shepard.
Oh,
He was
okay.
he was killer. Yeah. Oh, and Andrew Nelson got everybody got it about the same time. When I was trying to think of what his name was, I couldn't remember. Lee Shepard was like he was up there with Bob Glidden. He was good.
Fat Mouse Race Mod Repeat says, Shane, my truck currently has 12 pounds of hot idling, and not in a good way. Oh, okay. Well, that sucks. Dr. Go came in. Someone stopped by and say hi. Had to miss the live, but hope watch this weekend. Always good information here. Yes. Thanks for stopping by. I love your ice videos, man. I go through and watch a lot of those things. One day I would love to make a pilgrimage up there just to race on the ice. I think that would be fun.
Let's see here. Okay, and Dougster is here.
Yeah, Dakota's timeout says I tried a 3/4 race cam, and it was short 4 lobes and 2 cylinders, and the valves wouldn't open ever again. That sucks.
Well, yeah, but that's just a joke. It's only 3/4 of a game, right?
Yeah. I know what you meant. Yeah.
Mohawk says in the 70s, we always snickered when someone said they had a 3/4 cam because we figured they just couldn't afford a full race cam.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, there's actually something behind that. I just gotta one day I'll remember it, but I remember that conversation. I just can't remember what he was saying. Yeah, I like this Dougster one. I want a 15/16 race cam.
So Dylan Levi is saying, what's the ruling on air ducts, ram air setups for Triple Crown? Well, there is no ruling on it. It's not in the rule book, so that means you can do it.
Do whatever you want, man. That we made that so that way you guys can have some fun.
Yeah, I like thinking outside the box.
Yeah. Speaking of that, we're talking about racing. So, they have a bunch of like Pinewood Derby leagues here. And one of the guys asked me, I brought my computer home, and at night he was like, hey, man, I want to design a Pinewood Derby car. So then I started going down the rabbit hole of math. And I'm telling you, I designed something that is like way out there. And I sent it to him, and he's going to 3D print it, because it's like this. It's like it's a wood fiber. So you can 3D print it. And I'll show it to you when it comes in. But, man, it's like,
slick.
It's literally all the math is there. It's weights all the way back. Wheels are set back, different this, different that. It's like cross-sectional area is tiny. It's
I built a car like that just past year for my son at the Pinewood Derby. And what the thing was, I let me ask you this, and maybe some of the people in the chat would know. The thing was super fast. The first run out, it was like just ran off and left everyone. And then after that, it developed like a wheel wobble where the wheels would wobble like this. And
you have to tilt them 2.5 degrees. So what it is that with the wheel wobble is because you had them straight, right? So what the idea is, you want to take the shaft,
all of them tilted.
You tilt them all 2.5 degrees like this, so that way they're up against the spline of the stud, right? Of the nut, or not nut, but the nail. Not trying to go back and forth. When they're straight, they try to go back and forth and they wobble, and they'll actually get worse and worse and worse because it'll actually start to pull the nails out.
That's exactly what happened. Was it the first pass? Man, it was freaking rocket, man. I mean, like, and everyone else was like 2 or 3 seconds behind, and I'm like, oh man, we're gonna kill him this year. And then the second time, it just developed this wheel wobble, and it got worse and worse and worse as the day went on.
Yeah. So, and then we shaved down the wheels and we did this. We set a track record. The only people, when Cash did, he got second and Roxy got third. And Roxy only got third because she hot glued rocks to the top of her car. And literally she was only 0.01 average behind Cash. Cash lost to the average 0.001. And that guy had a club car that he didn't even build, and it wasn't even from the kit. We actually used the kit but did all the tricks, made it a 700 car. We angled everything. It was only riding on 3 wheels. It was a rail rider, so after 4 feet it would only curve in 1 inch. I had everything polished, the axles 2.5 degrees. We cut down the wheels so that I had a little mandrel that I made, and I used a a razor blade on the inside of the wheel and took half the wheel away as far as the weight on the inside and then the thickness. We put a file on it to make sure it was flat, and they literally ride just on the edge. And we actually lowered it down to so it was exactly 3/8 of an inch off the track. So it was, we did everything.
Yeah. Well, I was disappointed. My son was real disappointed. He was like, Dad, I thought it was going to be faster this year. It was that one pass, but you can't touch them after you turn them in, right?
That's right.
I mean, I guess that's just the way the cookie crumbled. I mean, we did our best, but and hey, WAF Racing has popped in here. Hey guys, glad I was able to tune in for a little while. Great content as usual. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the support for our channel here.
Yeah, thanks, man. In fact, like I said, he's going to be he's actually testing some stuff for us right now for Edelbrock, for me, some of my stuff. He can't talk about it right now, but he's definitely making some content for it. So when it actually comes out, you're going to see all this content he's got. He just did the circuit. And obviously, there's teething pains whenever you change a whole system on everything, brand new engine, different transmission, different this, different that, different whatever. But then he's going right back out. We're making some changes, and then he's got another one. And then also too, now that he's here, I believe it's May 18th. He has an open house at his place, and what I'll do is I will find a little thing here. I'll tell you guys all just a second, and you should go check out his spot. It's going to be here. WAF Racing. It's going to be the Hot Rod here. I'll put it up here. Hot Rod Hangout WAF Racing, and that's his address right there and everything. And go and check it out. And that's when me and Dallas, I'm going to go there. And I was telling Dallas about it this morning. He's got a nice place there. It's right on the corner, and he's got a nice little spot in the back. Go check it out. He's going to have a little hot rod hangout, and I'll be out there, get to see his shop and some of the cars he's got and what he has to provide for you guys, because he's got some cool stuff. So go check it out. I'm telling you, I'll be there. Yep, there's WAF Racing. And right there, yep. Thank you for the channel sponsor in the chat. Thank you. Yes. Once again, he's the one that makes this pop for all of us here. And that's the reason why I turn off all of the commercials. That way you guys don't miss anything. Dr. Go saying, yeah, Ice Drag 8th mile record is 142 miles an hour. And that's been ice racing 60 years. Imagine that. Imagine this, Dallas. Ice drag racing 8th mile record is 142 miles an hour on ice.
That would be nuts.
So
I'd be afraid to hit the brakes on that.
Well, just think about that. You're doing like a 111, right?
Uh-huh.
Now imagine doing it like another 30 miles an hour faster
on ice.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's nuts. Holy cow.
Shane, knowing that you're a VW guy, have you ever seen the Reese's Fish variable Venturi carbs? No. I maybe I have. I don't know. Yeah, I just can't think it off the top of my head. Probably not. But I've been to so many different Volkswagen shows, I probably have seen it at something. And 100% 2 degrees. Yeah, exactly.
Just talking about we have valve cover races up here like Pinewood Derby. Do they do that down south also? I've never done that, but I've never been to like a big car event thing. I've actually often thought about doing some kind of I thought it would be kind of neat to do like an AHRA racer swap meet or hot rod or gearhead swap meet.
Mm-hmm.
And just in the middle of the winter is the perfect time to do that, or the beginning of winter.
Yeah. So if I said May 18th, I meant to say May 16th. It's on a Saturday. I just posted up there. Go back to whatever that timestamp was. 1:08 is when it was, or 1:07. Go check it out. I held it up there. And if you're friends with me on Facebook, I posted it on my page. And then also go like WAF Racing on Facebook, and that way you can kind of get the invite that way.
Dylan Levi is saying, so VRS question or
Mhm.
carbs in general, what do they like air-wise on the top of it? I was always told it's negative pressure, which would hurt flow right. Okay, so the easiest thing to do is you need a smooth transition. They make these things called an air bell that fits on
Yep.
top of a carburetor, and it smooths out the transition of the air going into the carburetor, which will gain more power because it's directing the air directly into the throat of the barrels. If you have a full race carburetor, which I don't know if a VRS is it considered a full race or is it a street
Yeah.
carburetor?
Victor Racing carburetors with the
So then it
Victor
has
Racing
no
series.
choke air horn or anything, right?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
So
In fact, it's funny you say that because I'm actually looking for the picture right now. Because one of the things that I'm going to blow him. He's going to get mad, but you know what? Deal with it. He's actually coming out with something here.
who's that?
At WAF Racing, if I can find it here, because we text so much. Oh, here we go. So pretty soon he's going to be having this available here.
Oh, that's the air bell that I was telling. Yeah.
Yep.
Those
So
things
that's the air
work really
bell,
well.
and it's a 3D printed air bell. So that way you can put that on your VRS carburetor, and that literally fits on there perfectly, just like that.
Well, if it fits a VRS, it should fit a Holly as well, right?
Yeah, but the VRS is a little different as far as where the air bleeds are.
Well, it's got more air bleeds up top
Yes.
because it's got more circuits.
Yes, more circuits. It's good, exactly, and how it's designed is slightly different than a Holly, so it's kind of different. But I'm pretty sure he's going to be making one for all of them coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't like 20 miles an hour on ice. I agree with you 100%.
yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I'm not a big fan of ice. Every time here in Tennessee, when it gets cold like that and the weather starts to get bad, I was back up and head south. I got a retired Navy buddy that lives in Florida, and I just go down to see him for a couple of days.
You know what? I didn't know that he only had 40 subs. WAF Racing. We need to get him to the No Name Nationals this year.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, we need to get him bumped up to like 500 subs.
Let's you know what, Chris, is that if you're still here, me and you are going to talk about that. Let's get you to the No Name Nationals. Absolutely.
So Andrew Nelson says, bragging on Calvin, he ran 134.75 miles an hour in the 8th this weekend, launching in second gear. Not too bad a number for 254 cubes. Hey, that's not fair. You're not 254 cubes. You're at 254 cubes with 4 atmospheres pressurized.
That's right. Exactly. And you know what? I agree with you. I watched that video. Actually, Dallas told me about it. I saw the one where you guys were testing and you went like a 570 in the 8th. And I was like, man, that's pretty good. And then Dallas was telling me, hey, man, they just went out to like a YouTuber event. And I was like, oh, really? And he was telling me about how awesome it was. And then so I watched that video. Man, you guys were rocking. And I love the fact that he launched in second gear and it literally was all the power. Then he went out there and went like a
the dang thing, even in second gear, almost power wheelied it to like the 60-foot mark.
Yeah, didn't he run like an 840 or something like that? Or
no, ran like an 830 something.
830 something, yes. 830 something. Yes, exactly. Yeah, if anyone wants to try the VRS Belmont, let me know. We need testers. So there you go. So
well, dude, hey, yeah, I tell you what, Shane, you need to get one from WAF Racing, and what we'll do is we'll set it up where we can go up there to SSR Performance, and we'll throw it on a couple of cars on the dyno.
Yeah.
Just do a dyno day up there, and
Yeah,
just try different carbs out. And
what was that track that's next to it again? That was close to his place.
Beacon.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
So we got to find a day that there's a Beacon race on either Saturday or Sunday, and that way we can go to SSR for the first day, and the next day we spend the night there, and we have a dyno day. Then we go to the track, and then
maybe that's what we should do. Is like before it gets to be No Name Nationals, like you're saying, July, August, we all head to SSR Performance for like the dyno throwdown day. Everybody throws in like $100 or whatever it is. And then we rent the dyno the whole day from the SSR Performance guys and have a cookout, just like he was saying. We could have WAF Racing come there. I mean, it's not that far from Paducah.
I'm looking at the Beacon Raceway right now. Let's see what they got for schedule.
Well, I'm just talking about going there to SSR Performance and throwing down on the dyno.
Yeah, I know, but that way we can all go. We could go the next day and go to the
go to track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just actually here. Okay, schedule for 2026. So we're in that January, March, April, May. There's June. Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there. Okay, I can figure this out. Perfect. Okay, I can get it from there. We got plenty. And he goes, yes, maybe this year we'll do some YouTube content. You know what, man? You should really just start blasting up there. Here's what I tell you to do. This is the John Wilburn patented how to get subs. Make a short every day and post it. Make one, and for 30 days, you'll see how much you get. You have so much stuff going on in that shop you have. You could literally make every day.
You know what would be so awesome is where they're making the bell mouths, right? Like just literally take a video of that and then speed it up and watch the 3D printer print out the entire bell mouth, right? And that would be an awesome short.
Yeah. Do a picture like every second. Just have it sit right there and then make a short and then put on there for sale at WAF Racing. I'm telling you right now, you put it up there and then everybody here, if you're in this, go to post. If one of the mods would please post his YouTube channel, so that way we can get some people going over and get some attention to it. And then let's get him in the No Name Nationals because he would really like that.
So Dizzy's saying that he would be very interested in going to SSR Performance. He's never been to a dyno shop. Very interesting to see. Michael Schmidt is asking, WAF Racing, do you do any custom prints like velocity stacks for single barrel carbs, 2 5/16 diameter, and intake manifolds?
Yes, he does.
He will do. Yeah, he does. He does a lot of custom stuff.
Michael Schmidt, if you get in contact with me, I can get you in contact with Chris, and then we can talk about what you need, and then we can basically get you set up with whatever you need.
Man, I need to get my spacers made.
And this is his channel right here. Thank you, Colleen. I appreciate it. WAF Racing YouTube, and go check that out right there. And just like I said, go and sub it. And you know, I will put some pressure on him to make some videos. You know what? I agree with you, Chris. He says he's only working on projects or products every day. Not sure when I come up with time for content. That's why shorts are so easy. You literally
that's why we were saying to do the short, because if you're going to print, you're guaranteed you're going to print something on a 3D printer, right?
Yeah.
Just put your phone there and record it, and then edit it later.
Yeah, and you know, I know you got that car on that rotisserie. Just show how a rotisserie works. There's so many people that would watch that. You know, just all the little different things you got would be awesome. And then, yes, he says he would love to work on custom stuff. I agree, because that's literally he's some of my Slant 6 stuff, and then also too he's talking about doing some stuff for Dallas as far as selling some one-off stuff. So it's going to be kind of like his. In fact, right now for Slant 6 stuff, some of my load spreaders and some adapters that I've got coming out. We're working right now as far as getting those together, so that way we can sell those and have them made and sold. So yeah.
All right. Well, you know what, man, tonight's actually flying by.
Yeah, it's going pretty quick. You know, it's funny. So I walked in here, and me and Dallas were both kind of dragging. We're like, man, this is going to be a rough today, but man, I'm telling you, it's been going by fast.
Yeah, it's flying by pretty good. Oh, let's see. WAF Racing saying, and speaking of spacers, we have a replica of the 2-inch spacer that made all that power on the dyno, made from plastic versus aluminum.
Yeah, he was showing it to me, and it looks really cool. You know, here's the thing: you want to know how to make content. Make content of what you're doing, like Dallas said, but show it, like show people this stuff, and then put your information down below, and that will literally sell. That will get people interested, and it will just start to go viral. and that's how you can make your shorts, sell your products, and get your content up. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it'll work.
I think your stuff would start flying out of there really quick. You start
Yeah.
doing a lot of YouTube content.
Yeah.
Danny Boyd says, Woot, found me a little 1-gallon compressor in someone's trash tonight, and it works. Well, congratulations, brother. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Yeah, right.
You know, I found a mower, a Honda mower, thrown on the side of the road one day, and I'm like, dang! I stopped and picked it up. I took it home. It needed like $500 worth of parts for a $500 mower.
Did you spend it?
No.
Oh
no.
The best thing I ever found? I found super stock torsion bars that were Mopar Performance in the box, in the trash, right down the street from my house in El Cajon.
Couldn't have been any better than that, huh?
No bullshit. I never go down it. I never went down Cascade before to go, but there was an ambulance down to the end of the street. I went down Cascade, turned left to go that way, to go around that, and I just happened to see this Mopar box, and it was tall and skinny. I just walked over to it, looked at it. There's 2 torsion bars sitting in there, and they're the 720s, 1,000. So they were the super stock ones.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that were on my blue car until I changed to the coilovers. So all those years of racing were those fucking torsion bars.
Yeah. Well, Buick Smith is saying, Dallas, are you going to have WAF make those 215 to 300 intake spacers? If so, I will buy a set too. Man, I tell you what, those things have been the bane of my existence ever since 2018 or 19 when I started on them.
19, yeah.
I've had 4 shops. I've had 4 shops literally just shit on me, right? Like one group had them for, well, first off, when I made the spacers, I made them out of foam board and I hand cut them all, right? And then I sent them off in the mail 2-day express to a technical school in North Carolina, and they were going to make the spacers. They were going to put it all on CAD and then make the spacers and give me the set, right? And it was all a school project. Dude, no lie, that 2-day express mail took 4 months to get there. 4 months.
Yeah.
And I would like, hey, what's up with my 2-day express? I paid 2-day express for the mail. And it was all right around the time the election stuff was going on. So I'm assuming it was probably about a bazillion mailed in fake ballots and stuff, but who knows? But it seems to make sense because it disrupted the mail. My 48-hour mail was literally 4 months later. And then when I finally got the files, there was no CAD file at all. It was a printed piece of paper that had dimensions that the dimensions were not even labeled on it. Right? Like it had tags coming off of it for like dimensions, but no dimensions. It was like you put it in a blueprinting program and then took all the dimensions off.
Oh, they didn't give you like a text or anything in like a step file or something that had the dimensions in it?
No, I did not have it does not have a compatible file with anyone. I sent it off because I was like, oh, I should be able to take this and send it to Send Cut Send, and then it'll just send me the freaking stuff, right? So I sent them the stuff, and they're like, hey, this file is absolutely useless. You're going to need to send us another file. This thing doesn't have anything. And I'm like, oh, crap. But I did get one set of spacers, and I ended up having to hand file every single one of them to make it fit. And then I ended up sending it off okay, if you guys know of this YouTube channel called The Bucket List Mob, I found those guys during a sick week in 2018.
Yeah.
I think. No, not 2018. When was that? It was when my marriage blew up. 2024 is when I went to sick week. So that's when I met those guys. The dude, Michael Heston, was like, hey, man, just send me what you got, and I'll convert it all over to a file you can use. So he, like a month later, he sends me this it's a plastic printed intake manifold spacer. And I'm like, sweet. He said, it's just rough. Put it on the engine, see how it fits. Well, the holes for the bolts were just a little bit too small, so I said they need to be opened up some. and then they got the wrong angle on the bolt hole. It needs to be 43 degrees or 45 instead of 43 or something. Whatever I told him, and he was like, "Yeah, okay." And I never heard from him again. Like literally crickets. And I had sent him all of those templates I made.
All right. So Juan Frayson's asking Caltrax versus Pinion Snubber, my CUDA. What would you prefer to see in it and why? Okay, I've done them both. And I'm telling you right now, Caltrax is far superior to a Pinion Snubber. And here's why. Is the Pinion Snubber is literally it's one pinion right in the center. It's one pivot point. So it relies on a stiffer spring on the passenger side than the driver's side. And then when you hit it, it's going to push the rear end into the ground, and it works great for most cars. The problem with it, though, is that when you start hitting it with real power, they start to extend really far, and then they start to teeter because it's only on one point
contact. Yeah.
And I will show you a video of what I'm talking about, because once I made a stroker, now when I had the 360 in my car, it was totally fine. It was running 660s, didn't have a lot of torque. I just RPM the crap out of it. The second I built that stroker engine, it actually started making some torque. It wasn't making much more horsepower, but it made a lot more torque. And that thing would slam into the ground and would start walking. When I went to the Caltrax, I was able to set it up, and the car went dead straight now. Now, obviously, you got to play with it a little bit, but I could use the trans brake now and hitting it, and it wanted to be hit as hard as I could. And then it didn't walk like this. It literally made the car go straight. Also, too, the Caltrax is a lot more friendly to drive on the street than a Pinion Snubber. Pinion Snubber, you're going to have to take the button off, and then as far as how much preload you're going to put into it, for how much power you have. Typically, Pinion Snubbers want about a half an inch of preload, at least for my car. That seemed to work the best. When I put the trans brake on it, it actually needed more, so it actually would hold it down. It would really hammer that thing on it, but driving it around made it really bumpy because it's got all that preload on the bottom of the car. So on your car, I would definitely go Caltrax for obviously future, for drivability, because this is more, you have a drag and drive car that does a lot of driving, and you literally drove it from your house all the way out to Oklahoma and then drove it back. So you just don't do the event. You drive it there and drive it back. So I would definitely go Caltrax for that reason right there, because of the drivability, and it's also going to work better on the street.
Let's see. It looks like everybody's talking about they were garbage picking some mowers and stuff like that. And what Bear Rose is saying, it's generally the stuff you think everybody knows that gets the best views. I got nearly 150 subs showing how to take snap rings out of U-joints. Don't take anything for granted.
Agreed.
I did a video on how to make like a super cheap parts washer out of the plastic tubs you buy at like Lowe's or Home Depot.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucker freaking took off really good. I also did a video on easy off oven cleaner, taking stuff off aluminum heads.
It works awesome.
And everybody else jumped all over that one too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's the stuff that you would think that everybody would know because you've known it for so long, but people really don't know it. Dizzy's wanting to know, Shane, any good finds in that box? Couldn't remember what was all in it.
Oh yeah. In fact, yes, the kid is going to use some of those cars. They're doing a history. They have to do when I saw Dizzy, he gave me a box of like cars and all these little model cars. He's actually doing one on Henry Ford. So like you have to do someone in history. Roxy's doing one on Anne Frank. Cash is like, well, I'm going to do one on Henry Ford. So there's a lot of Model A's and a lot of Model T's in there. So he's going to show that and the evolution of how he, the modernization of the assembly line and what the vehicles were, and how a single transmission was used literally for 18 years. So that way it didn't constantly get changed and just stuff like that. But yes, some of the car stuff is being used. So thank you very much for that.
Andrew
Nelson says the same thing. Caltrac. I agree with you, Andrew Nelson. 100% Caltrac.
Dakota's timeout saying the easy off for aluminum heads, does it strip paint or carbon buildup? It does, but I'm telling you, you cannot use Easy Off on aluminum heads and leave it on there.
No,
It will mar them up like in minutes.
Yeah.
So you really just want to let it spray. Once you see it start to turn, the slurry start to turn a little bit brown, time to hose her off.
Mm-hmm.
And the better thing is if you could either leave them out in the sun or throw them in the oven a little bit and get them hot, like say 100 degrees, and then throw that stuff on there, it'll rip it off.
Yeah. It's funny. I use a lot of that Easy Off on my engines because I don't have a parts washer, so I have a pressure washer, and what I do is I use that stuff. I hose it off, then I use the pressure washer, then I use that again, and you basically just go back and forth on anything that's dirty, and it works awesome. And it's even better on steel parts because literally it'll strip that thing right off of there.
Yeah, steel parts you don't have a problem with. The aluminum, you can't leave it on there long; it will mar it. What I have found is like I guess I probably need to do a video on this. I always wanted a hot seat, right? I was doing enough engines. I wanted a hot seat, right? And that's the ones that have like the boiler on it, and the pressurized water comes out at like 200 degrees. It's really hot. And what I started doing was just hooking my garden hose up to the clean out on my hot water heater.
It works.
It comes out hot, and it's got just enough pressure to really do everything you want.
Yeah, it works awesome.
Yeah, I thought about doing a video on that. Because, well, when you're doing an engine rebuild and you're cleaning everything with water, you want to clean it with hot water.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why you want to clean it with hot water is the water evaporates almost immediately, and it doesn't rust.
Yeah.
But also hot water cuts through the grease and grime really good.
It gets it hot, gets it lubricating. That's something I'm going to do a video of how I do my pressure washer. I have a drop sink in the garage, and I bought one on purpose that I can screw a hose onto. So I turn on the hot water hose, and I have an Instahot there, and it literally comes right down from the Instahot, and it's 140, 150 degrees right from it's a tankless water, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I pressure wash things, is doing exactly that. And it's literally just a hose that I made myself that goes right to it.
I just did it on my hot water heater clean out because you got to clean it out once a year anyway, usually. And it's like, man, if I'm doing two things at the same time here.
Yeah. You know what? That's a good idea. I'll do that because it's one of those things I've been doing for years. I just never even thought of making a video of it. I've been doing it since I've been here. But in California, I used my water heater because it was in the garage. But here, the water heaters are all up in the attic for whatever reason. So I made a drop sink in the garage.
Huh. Well, looks like Buick Smith saying was in Harbor Freight and saw some trailer sway control rods with spherical rod ends for $35. And I'm thinking GM rear control arms for cheap. Shane saw how I did my control arms on my Buick because nobody made them. I bought some lower control arms for like a 96 Camaro.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any spring buckets on it. It's on the axle housing. So it's just a Heim joint with a rod and a Heim joint.
Yeah.
And they're real basic and simple. And you can make some adjustable control arms to fit out of that on pretty much anything.
Yeah. Those are the ones that I'm shortening for you?
Yeah.
Those are the ones. Okay. Dizzy's saying that he almost hit 1,000 subs today. Well, good job. I stopped looking at subs. I just don't.
I don't even know where I'm at. Like
neither do I. Don't even care.
I don't look at the number. Look right now. I don't even have. Maybe I got 1,500.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even look at it. Don't care. I literally, it's exactly the truth. What my videos thing says is that this is a documentation of my builds only. That's all it's for, is for me and my kids and whoever wants to look at my stuff. That's it. I don't want to be a YouTube star. I don't care to be. I have no desire to do that. I just want to document my builds and put some good content out there for fun,
Yeah, I got like 5,300. I didn't even know.
Oh, well, good job.
Yeah, I'm killing it.
I think I think I'm at like 3 something. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I don't even look at it. I used to when I looked at it a lot until I got to maybe like 2000. And after that, I just didn't care anymore.
Well, I think I had enough to run No Name Nationals the first year, and I don't think I ever really got focused on looking at what I got. It sends me a milestone thing every time I get like a big milestone at YouTube. But I think the last one I got was like 2,500 or 3,000.
Mine was 2,500. I think that's what it was. I think it was 2,500 is what I got. I'm not sure, but I think I got a milestone at that point, and I haven't got another one. Oh, actually, you know what? I think I got a milestone too when I hit 3,000, but I don't know where I'm at in 3,000.
I don't pay no attention to that thing. I'm like the worst YouTuber in the world.
Me too, because I don't care. I think that's the thing is that to me, it's just I got so many other things. I got kids, and to me, I don't live around that. For the people who want to do that, man, awesome. I'm happy for you. Me and the kids, we want to do fun stuff, and we like this last weekend. We went out riding on our bikes, and we went out to the fair, the local fair here, and we showed up on our bikes and just had a good time riding around. And
no, dude. Okay. I'm looking at the lifetime of my channel and when it got the most subs.
Yeah.
Right. And what is this one? December 24th of 2024. That was easy 302.
Yeah.
I got almost 300 subs in one day.
That's awesome.
I have not looked at that thing forever.
For me, I have to go back because I started my YouTube channel, I think 14 years ago.
Oh.
Well, because it was a different name. I'm not going to tell you the name, but it was a different name. And I used to put up motorcycle videos, let's just call it, of questionable stuff. And it was it was me just having fun on my motorcycle doing hoodlum stuff. And I took a lot of that off. And when this whole thing went with Dallas and John Wilburn, he was telling me about it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to revamp that thing. And I took down all the stuff that was questionable, all the gun videos and then all the questionable motorcycle stuff and then started making content. But I believe I took down my very first video, I think. But I will tell you my very first video, your videos.
Well, Danny Boyd's saying you're at 3.35 thousand.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that.
I haven't looked at that so long. Of course, I haven't got paid for it for like so long either. So, but you got to make content to do that,
right?
Yeah, and I just haven't been focused on making content at all. Right now, I'm just trying to focus and hang on to life and get it all sorted out. But tomorrow, sorted.
So my first video is actually not up here anymore. The only one I have on here is the late for school on the KLX 300. And that was 13 years ago. And then there's 2 videos of me riding my motorcycle off to the Carrizo Gorge, the big wooden trestle out there.
Uh-huh.
And then one for the EX 500 glass pack install because the EX 500 it was a 2-cylinder little bike Kawasaki made, and then me in the finals at Famoso 11 years ago. Yeah. Oh, and then there's the video 10 years ago when I got the very first John Cope racing transmission valve body.
Huh.
Yeah, that was very first.
I started doing it because I was working with Uncle Tony, and so many people were interested in all the Buick stuff I was doing.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, let's start doing that. Well, actually, no, I think it started with the AHRA channel. I did an AHRA channel because I was doing the Wednesday night Tech Talk Live with Tony, and then we started doing drag racing history videos, and then Tony started getting really flaky about that. And I couldn't figure out what was going on, but it was just a multitude of stuff of that shop he had. But that
was the shop that was the first one I went to with you. That was the one.
That was right probably. yeah, that's well, at that time when we were doing the drag racing history video stuff, he had this meth head working for him that like he was trying to help him out or whatever, but the meth head was like literally robbing everybody's stuff, right?
Mm.
And he stole the car battery off of my start stand.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, there's only one thing on the entire start stand that's worth anything, and it was the car battery. And it's like, who would steal my car battery? I was like pointing fingers at the Junkyard Jet guys. I'm like, look, man, just give me a new car battery. You guys used it last. You borrowed it from me. It should be your responsibility to maintain it and make sure that all the stuff is still there. And no one would confess. And then finally, I went over there and got the start stand.
Yeah.
And
now the Junkyard Jet guys, was that Daddy's? They changed to Daddy's Money.
Daddy's Money Garage.
Whatever happened to them? Are they still doing anything or no? Are they?
Austin, I think Puddin got married like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, and things have drastically changed for him. And then I guess his dad died, and his brother got his car, and then their other friend John, I don't know what happened to him. He's just like disappeared.
Hey, Disney's saying something interesting. You both can start getting ad money, I think. Not much, but a good start. Good luck. Sell your channel in 10 years for good money.
Oh, I don't know if I ever sell my channel.
No, but it's not, because for me, it's just documenting my builds. I can always go back to that and just, well, I mean, even if I did, whatever, but there's stuff I keep records of, but sometimes you lose stuff, but this way I can always go back and say, oh yeah, that's exactly how I did that. Perfect. I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, the guy's name Stubby?
Yeah. The guy's name was Stubby. That was the meth head guy. That was the dude that like was robbing everybody's stuff. And it was like, what in the world is going on around here? I couldn't understand what was going on. I just ended up just packing up my stuff and leaving because I got tired of getting cheated.
Now that's the car that that Buff and Kim have, is Stubby's car, right? That's the 66.
I think so. I never met that guy Stubby, right? The only time I ever even had any interaction or discussion with him was when I figured out that he was the one taking stuff. And I accused him of it. He drove up in Tony's red GT Dart or whatever, and it has the 273 in it, right? He drove up in that, and I said, hey, that car was down because the battery was fucked. And I'm like, where'd you get the battery for it? Oh, it was just laying over here in the shop. I said, there's no battery in Tony's shop laying in the shop.
Yeah, that's right.
And like, this dude is literally just taking stuff from one and go to the next. And I said, open the hood. And he's like, well, no, I don't really want to. I said, well, fine, I'll open the hood. So I just opened it, right? And there was my battery. And it was like, dude, look, the Junkyard Jet guys just bought me a brand new battery. They're on their way back with this brand new battery because I raised hell and chewed their ass for losing my battery on my start stand when they lost it. And
he didn't care.
He was like, whatever, bro. And then so when they showed up with the new battery, I'm like, look, Austin, I feel terrible. This is what happened. Here's the answer. And we put the new battery in Tony's GT Dart, and I took my old battery and I went home. That was it. And what sucks is that battery went tits up like 2 days later. Yeah. So
I hope the Daddy's Money Boys come back this year.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Did they have a decent following? I watched them for a while.
They did, but their group just kind of went separate ways. When Austin got married, John was like this totally weird left-wing like nutball, right? I mean, he was like past the point of just, yay, the left. He was like weird, man. You know, that people needed to be assassinated and like, whoa, what the heck is going on? So he just like kind of disappeared, and he didn't fit in with the rest of the group, right? So,
oh, Andy's here. What's going on, Andy? Good to see you.
Yeah, he must have just popped in here in the past few minutes.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bear Rose. Selling my channel would be like selling my soul. I couldn't do that. I agree. So many of those videos, you know, people don't realize how hard it is to make a decent video. And Dallas said it best one time. Use only 75% of what you throw away 75% 5% of whatever you film. And you're only really keeping just a little bit to tell the story. And you don't want to make it too damn long, but you just try to make it, kind of entertaining. And it's just a lot. Just a lot.
And Buick Smith says, I once heard that you can buy subscribers on YouTube. Is that really true? I think that would somehow really screw with the analytics. One, it would definitely screw with the analytics, but I'm sure just like everything that people. All right. I used to play this video game online called Motor City Online. And it was really fun when it first came out. It was awesome. It was like a big, massive multiplayer world set in like the perfect era of hot rodding. And you could buy cars on that game that were like anything from like a 32 Ford Coupe all the way up to like a Buick GNX, right? And the thing was, when you went in the game, you were supposed to earn money by doing these races and winning.
Yeah.
And what happened was, it was like within 2 months, they're selling the cars that they had won doing these races on eBay. And people were literally buying it. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. When you find out that there's people that can't do, those people that can't do always find a way to do.
That's right. With money.
Right? Yeah. And I would not be surprised if you could go out and buy half of China for about $1,000 to put on your YouTube channel. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't mean the channel is going to be any better. Right. I mean, there's people out there that got huge YouTube channels that we in our small community outdo them every time we make a video.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is this possible? But it's because of who they were, the timing when their video dropped. There's a lot of things that go into it. And then they could have been buying their own subs. I don't know.
Dakota's asking, was John the one that looked like a kid on Bad Santa?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the kid on Bad Santa. I don't know what that is. He was a fat, pudgy kid, right? That was Austin. That was Puddin.
Yeah. Andrew Nelson's correct on this one. Buick Smith, channels that buy views to get their numbers up kill their channels. Absolutely, because you're just basically buying, and it's only for one little section, and then you don't get the views the very next time, so your analytics go way down.
Lars says, just looked up WAF Racing. They're just the west of me in the next town over, Small World.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is Springfield is where I get all my machine work done at Tommy's Auto Machine in Springfield.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that's you know what's funny? I think that's exactly where Wafkins is done at. I'm actually going to, since everyone's here real quick, I'm going to post this up here again. That on May, right here. So on May 16th, it should be all right there. WAF Racing, that's his shop that he's got right there on the strip there. There's the times and everything, and there's the address. So he's going to have an open house there on May 10th, May 16th, from 10 to 4. So I'm not really sure what he's doing there, but come by and check it out because he's got some cool stuff. Me and Cash are going to be there. We're going to take the green car. We'll be coming by.
Huh. Well, Buick Smith saying, Dallas, I missed that game. I had over 250 cars at one point before the computer crashed. Only bought about 20 of them. That was me. I loved playing it. And I used to race. I mean, there was some heavy hitter guys on there that would race for pinks all the time, right? And I only bought one car, and I ended up winning like quite a few off of different events. But I figured out the combo was they were classing all the cars horsepower to weight, right? So I built like a big block Chevy with an 871 blower on it, and it made like, I don't remember. I put some meager camshaft in it and the worst cylinder heads and exhaust manifolds on it, and it made like 300 horsepower and like 1,400 foot-pounds of torque, right?
Perfect.
And then I put a 3-speed manual behind it, the T85 3-speed, in a car that weighed about 1,100 pounds. And it was an absolute drag strip rocket ship.
Because it had so much torque.
Right, but it would class you with other people that had like 300 horsepower. So there would be guys that had like, like a 63 Impala with a 327 and a 4-speed in it. And I would run like a 780 in the quarter mile, and these dudes are running like 14 seconds, right? And I was just murdering suckers, taking their cars. It was so much fun, but I can only imagine that poor little kid that was like, oh, but that's what I get for racing for pinks, but
yeah.
Andrew Nelson says it ruins the analytics because the algorithm cue them up to folks who won't watch them. The key is to get retention. So you want your audience to be your audience.
Exactly. Yep. I agree with that.
Kim Fixes Things says there are huge bot farms for views and subscribers. You would have to be selling something to want to buy views that aren't real people. Oh, I just like to do things that nobody else does, right? When Thunderhead 289 put that Predator engine carburetor on his 289 and drove it around, there was like 900 videos like that after the day after he made that one, right? Yeah. I like to do something that nobody else has done. When I do a video, it's something that nobody else has done.
Or made a video of it, yeah.
Right.
So anyways, Colleen right here has posted this as a WAF Racing Hangout on Facebook link. So click on this so that way you can have all the information. And Kim and Buff, this is going to be right down the street from you, so you guys should come check it out. It's going to be at a shop. It's going to be a good time. And I think that's in 2 weekends from now. Yeah.
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 And then the WAF Racing saying that, yep, Tommy's Machine, and they'll be at our party on the 16th. That's cool. So I'll go up there and give Tommy and Frank another reason to not do my stuff real fast. But I don't know. The neat thing is that John Bouchard he works out of there sometimes. He has his own little engine shop, but he works out of there at Tommy's sometimes. He lives at Springfield, somewhere around there.
WAF Racing saying Mopar Connection and Magazine will be set up at the event as well with one of their project cars. Be slinging shirts and merch as well. So there you go. It's going to be an event.
Sling some AHRA shirts.
Yeah.
I got zillions of them.
I do. I got some not really politically correct Slightly the Garage t-shirts that I'll throw in there too.
Andrew Nelson says we don't have the big numbers, but the retention is high, and that makes watch hours. That brings good advertisers. I watch you guys' videos every time you put one up on. I think your videos come out on Sunday, I believe, and I generally watch them first thing, and then what I'll do is I'll go back through and I'll watch the previous two. I don't necessarily sit down and watch them. I click on your videos so that you get the views. But
what I do is I watch your at work, and then I let it play all the way through, and then I do it again at home. And the reason for that, it's 2 different IP addresses.
Right.
So, and that way too, when I'm at work, I literally let it hit play and I do not stop it. So that way you get the full amount of watch hours. In fact, everybody here on the channel, when I'm at work and I'm doing design, I have to have noise in the background. Otherwise I'm like one of those people, squirrel.
Oh, I get that's how I am. I have to have music on, and people are always like, dude, how do you work all the time with all this music on? And it's like, dude, I just get in the zone when the music comes on.
That's right, because I can block out all the noise in my head. So I watch most of your guys' videos during that time.
Well, and I guess Andrew Nelson, what I said earlier was not necessarily the truth. I watch your videos every Sunday. I do sit down and watch your videos, but I'll play the previous 2 after that, and then I'll go do something else. I'll like run the dishwasher, or that way the previous 2 videos get pushed up as well.
Yeah, and whatever too you're advertising at the end, I'll usually click on that and let it play through also. But he says it comes up every Sunday at 10, so go check him out.
Okay.
Michael Schmidt saying, yeah, I got one, a Creamy Beaver t-shirt. My wife hates it. Perfect. That's right.
Yeah, Mohawk saying you don't mean the nice cookie T-shirt, do you, Shane?
No, this is actually the black shirt. This is not the cookie one. This is the other one that I have. It says Slant Daily Garage, and it's got a picture of.
Oh, that's the one that I got kicked out of Al-Anon for that one.
Exactly, it's perfect. So, you know what, man? It's flown by, man. We only got about 5 minutes left.
All right, yeah.
He goes, you guys are welcome to do some merch. Look, I'm not going to sell anything. I'm literally just going to give it to you so you can kind of give it away.
Well, I was actually just going to show up there and then just be there. I thought it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Anything coming up here? Because of YouTube, I got used to working without music now. Drives Dad nuts. He has to have the radio on. I literally have to.
That's the hardest time I have with YouTube filming stuff is I'll always get music strikes, copyright strikes, because the music I have on in the background, I have to edit it out. I usually end up just recording everything I do, and then I'll edit the stuff out or I'll jumble up the music in the background so bad you can't tell what it is.
Yeah. Buick Smith says, Shane, have you seen Hot Rod Guy's garage video of a Ford Trino getting over 30 miles per gallon? Good stuff. No, I have not.
He comes to No Name Nationals. That's Russell.
Oh, okay. It's
Hot Rod Guy Garage, yeah. And that's his orange Trino.
Okay. No, I have not. I'll go check it out. But, I think it would be, if anything other than a Slant 6, it would actually be easier to get 30 miles to the gallon. They're not really known for their mileage because of how poor the head is. Literally, the combustion chamber's crap. It's an undersquare engine. There's no the port is just everything's crap on it, which makes it so much more fun to try to make it go good.
Yeah, Wheelie King, I'm right there with you, dude. He's saying that I can't stay focused without tunes. I squirrel so hard and get nothing accomplished without music.
100%.
And I'm the same way. Like the other day, I went out to the garage and I literally started working, and I got about 20 minutes in. I'm like, there's something wrong. And I could not figure out what it was. I was running around and I realized there's no music on.
Right.
I turned the music on, and then it's like I settled right back into doing what I was doing.
Oh. You know what? I got to tell you, people, I didn't video any of this, but I got to tell you what I did on Thursday, Friday, Saturday of this last weekend is I have a Dodge diesel truck. I took the hubs off because, and I put in spin-free hubs on it. That was a monster job. I wish I would have filmed it, but I think it would probably taken me 3 more days to do it if I would have filmed it because it was just so labor intensive. But I got to tell you, if you ever have a Dodge truck or anything that doesn't have unlocking hubs, that is the single best upgrade that you could do. Don't do exhaust. Don't do that. Do that thing first. I got the Yukon one, and then I just drilled a hole in the hubcaps, the plastic covers, put it on there so it only sticks out about this far from that. I'm telling you right now, the truck drives like a whole different truck because it's not dragging the whole front end. It actually drives nice.
Danny Boyd saying the only problem with music is that I have to keep walking over to change the radio station. Cincinnati radio sucks. I don't even listen to the radio station. I have an iPod, like one of the old iPods.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got it on a station, or not station. It's got like 2,000 or 3,000 songs on it, and I just like hit play, and it'll run through the playlist, like every couple of weeks. But it just takes so long to go through it that it's not like you hear every song every time. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I actually use a radio station. It's called 88.1. It's out of Dallas, Texas. Plays alternative radio. It's all the modern radio. It's actually really good. But anyways, and then Wheelie King says, you should have, Shane. I have the Yukon Spin Freeze on my Dodge for 10 years. I agree. Best mod ever. 100%. In fact, I gained another mile per gallon at 70 miles an hour just by doing that. Nothing else. So
Mohawk says I get upset when I'm working in the shop jamming to a great tune and the stupid phone rings. Big mood killer. Dude, I leave the phone inside
and shut it off.
Like most people will go, hey, dude, what took you so long to return my phone call? And today, if you take 2 hours to return a phone call, that's a long time, right? and people freak out about it. But I'm like the worst. I try to get away from the phone.
Yep, I shut that fucker off and just leave it alone, and then I just get my stuff done. And if you try to call me and literally probably go straight to voicemail, it's because it's off, and it's off for a reason. I will usually play. I have YouTube playing on the screen. So,
but we're out, dude. We got to get out of here.
Yeah, with that, I'm getting the flashing light. So we're right at 2 hours. Thanks again. Go see Mr. John Wilburn on his channel, 7 Central on Mr. John Wilburn's channel. We have a whole host. I think Kim and Buff, they're on Tuesdays, aren't they? Or Monday nights?
Well, they do it. They're pretty much up every night.
Yeah.
But
check them out too.
Yeah, John is up Fridays.
Yep.
So make sure you hit John Wilburn's channel. And then Kim and Buff, they're up all the time. And they're working on that Valiant.
That thing's awesome. I love it. So, all right, John, everyone, you guys take it easy. Have a great week, and we'll see you guys next week.